Hi everyone, welcome back to the 67 Hail Hail channel. We've got Jackie and Euan joining me, Hamish, once again. Now we're going to chat transfers a bit, guys. What do Celtic still need to do this summer? What positions do we need to strengthen? The answer is probably the vast majority. So far, we've signed Liam Shaw from Sheffield Wednesday, Osaze Urhoghide from Sheffield Wednesday. Both of those, I think, a wee bit away from being Celtic first team regulars. You only have to look at the fact that Postecoglou brought on Dane Murray the other night instead of Urhoghide. Liam Shaw maybe a little bit closer to the first team, but we'll wait and see with that one. Liel Abada, who seems very much to be a player who can compete for a first team place, although he is only 19. We've also signed the Japanese player Kyogo Furuhashi as well, who certainly seems to be a player who can come in and can make an impact right away. Carl Starfelt, we believe that one's going to happen imminently. Maybe by the time you're watching this, he will have signed for Celtic. He hasn't at the time of us recording. So that's kind of 5 first-team players there we've signed so far. Where are we still light, Euan? There's numerous other positions. Where's the priority right now?
For me, it's a mobile attacking right back who can play in the inverted system that Ange Postecoglou wants to use. I think players like Greg Taylor and Adam Montgomery have the tools to do that. I just don't think Ralston is quite up to that standard. Not just yet. It feels like we've been waiting for him to be a year away for a few years now. I no harm to the guy because obviously he's a huge Celtic supporter. Came up to the academy. I don't want him to do well, but I think we need a first team class right back to come in, and then after that, my other priority would be getting some support in the left wing. I think Furuhashi is primarily going to play there, and you could have Forrest and Ryan Christie swapping him out. Maybe by the time this video's out, Ryan Christie's gone. Who knows? But definitely needs right flank and left wing sorted out pronto, I would say.
Jackie, who's at the top of your shopping list in terms of positions?
I think obviously right backs are a major issue. I agree with what you're saying there about Ralston. The lad's not played a lot of football in the last wee while, and and there's no real competition in that position either. You need 2 for each position. I still think we need another striker, depending on what happens with Edouard. He had a chance last night and putting things. He's getting his last year, so. Maybe towards the end of the window, we'll see what happens with the Champions League qualifiers, which normally happens. See if we get through and different things. Some players might want to stay, and if we did get into the Champions League, would they extend at that point? Because you can't afford players to just run out their contract and leave for nothing. It'd be crazy. So, unless Eduardo was going to sign a new deal, then you'd imagine he would go. It would be at the end of the window. So that's a position. I still feel we need a number 9, someone that can dominate with a lot of crosses coming out the box that can attack it. I think they're crying out for that. I'm not saying the same build as Big John or Sutty, but somebody like that, play their back to goal, bring people into play, but also have that threat. When balls are coming in there, they can go and attack it. So that's the ones I would look at.
Edouard scored some goals with his head, but he's not necessarily the kind of player who'll bulldoze a header in. There was a few last night. In fact, there was 2 in a row from Abada in the first half, 2 great balls, and Edouard he didn't look convincing getting on any of them. No,
there's one as well that he got past the lad, and Edouard dropped deep outside the box for like a 10. A lot of times he does that. He comes deep rather than being in that little pocket in between the centre halves and the goalkeeper in the corridor, I doubt, as they call it, because he'd put some great balls in early on, and I thought, I like to see that with wingers. They don't even think, they just assume that the centre forwards should be there, and that's where they should be, in between the goals, and they get their goals.
Well, that's a very respectable list from both of you. Mine's a little bit more substantial. This is what I think we need to be going into the new season with. 2 right backs for me, because I don't think any of the right backs we have at the club at the moment are good enough right now. Ralston, Leo Connor, doesn't really say much about Leo Connor, why he's not getting a chance at the moment. I think we need a left back as well. because I'm not convinced with Bolling goalie being a credible option this season, and I don't think we can rely on Bolling goalie, and I think Greg Taylor needs to be pushed as well, because that's how you get the best out of him if he's actually not guaranteed a spot in the team. I think at centre back we've lost Duffy. Make all your jokes you want, but we have lost a player there who played a lot for us last season. Ayer obviously going as well. Julian is injured, so we're really short at centre back at the moment, so I think we need Starfelt plus one more. I honestly don't really hear many folk talking about it, but I think we're really short in centre mid as well. The midfield played all right, in fact quite well on Wednesday night, McGregor and Sorrow especially, but I just think we're really light there. We've not replaced Scott Brown at all. Left winger for sure, definitely, and I agree with Jackie, I think we need a striker as well. I would argue we need a striker even if Edouard stays. If Edouard goes, you probably need two. So I just think that there's so much needs done still, and my fear is that Celtic fill some of these positions, but they kind of do a 80% job and then just think they're okay. When in reality, we need to make sure we are the best set up team in the league this season. We've got enough options so that injuries won't derail us. We saw really good signs, I think, on Wednesday night of Postecoglou's team and the way they played, the way they moved the ball, but we just didn't have the players to play that final cross in or that final pass. And I think it's time to back the manager, Euan. He's already shown enough for me to say we all need to get behind him as fans, and also the club need to back him substantially and give him the players so he can make this system work.
No, definitely, and I think Starfelt's with his. I don't want to get bogged down with stats, but he's a really impressive short passer of the ball. Played as many, almost all the possible minutes for Ruben Kazan last season. I think he's the right kind of target. I do agree with the versatility. I'm one of those that's kind of conflicted in the sense of I think we should be bringing more youngsters into the team, and I think some of the positions he covered. There are really good potential players there, but it's just a case of how much trust can you put in. Academy guys at this stage, and obviously with the B team, they're going to be presumably getting a decent amount of football anyway. So, I have similar concerns about Bolling goalie to you, but I don't know. I think in general, it's about backing Postecoglou. It's about making sure that he's all the resources at his disposal, because he doesn't come across to me as a guy who would, suffer fools gladly. I don't think he's, willing to set the biscuit tin mentality, and I think he'll be, if he's not already been, I imagine he's going to be a bit of a pain for the board, because he'll be wanting to make his agenda very, very clear, and that includes buying some quality players that are, of course, within our price range. So, you got a backhand. You can't just hire a big name in the sense of what he's done worldwide. You can't hire a big personality like that with such a great kind of football pedigree and then just give him scraps to work with. So, I think we'll see movement for sure.
Are players the main thing here, Jackie? Is that the key here to this season, buying the right players? Yeah,
and to fit in the way he wants to play. He clearly looks like a coach that will coach and develop as well while he's doing it. You can see little signs there, just little bits last night. A couple of times I said that it didn't come off, but you can see what they're trying to do, and that they will get better at that. And you can see that in the young kids that they've brought in from Sheffield Wednesday. As I say, I don't know a lot about them, but they'll be work in progress with him to behind the scenes and making them better. Obviously, Cham is still in the building as well, but I don't see him being around and being part of it. So another midfielder, I agree with that. If he's not going to be part of it. Another bit is the goalkeeping department that we spoke about a lot last year. I think last night it just kind of throws it up in the air a little bit again. So it'll be interesting to see what develops over the next few games. If he sticks with Barkas, to see if he can handle it, if he can turn that around and get a few clean sheets and then kickstart his Celtic career, or does he bring someone else in or go with one of the other two? So, but as I said, I don't think he, like you say, suffers fools. I think he'll just deal with things quickly and directly, which I like, rather than a lot of times the players get protected and different things. He takes responsibility, and I think he'll do that. He'll do that quickly. He'll know what he wants and what he needs for his team, And said I can only see improvement. It's not a concern. The concern last night before the game, as I said, I was just prior watching the two games, but watching the game last night, you can see what he's want to do and what to try and do, and it could be exciting football.
Yeah, I think in general that's why the Celtic support are quite pleased with last night, even though the result wasn't great. We saw an identity there, and that was not apparent for long swathes of last season. Jackie, when you go into a new managerial job like you will have in the past, and you feel you need to improve the squad, is it difficult because you want to sign players but also you don't know whether to put a bit of trust in the players you've got already that you're inheriting? Is that something that Postecoglou might be going through at the moment?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at Martin O'Neill when he came in, the team that he inherited, and he brought a few in, but he transformed like Bobby Petter, guys like that were at the club already. Whereas maybe the fans at that point would have said, no, they've not got a future. So it's up to him to see, like, what, I could work with that, I could make him better. I think if we do a couple of tweaks here, we can improve his game, and that's obviously a sign of a good manager and a good coach. Ultimately, that's their job as well, to make players better, to teach them and to win. It's the most important thing, is to win.
Who's the Bobby Petter of this team then? Who's the guy who's going to rejuvenate his Celtic career this season that we've all written off?
That's a good question. I think it's still very early, but there's a few lads in there that it might surprise us. I hope there is. Ones that the fans had kind of turned on and said, "Oh, do you know what? We'll give him a chance." And it might be one that's not even played yet. It comes back into the fold. It might surprise you. It might just one day in training and that's the way football is at times. You think they're out the door. Just a few times in my Celtic career, I felt like that when there's new managers were coming in, like maybe not in the plans, but then you can turn it around and impress them in training or do something when you come on in a game, and it just changes everything. So I had that a few times.
I think you'd still be at Celtic if you were fit enough nowadays. You were loved by every manager. I think Postecoglou would find a way to fit you in his team.
It took a long time with Martin. Martin was probably the longest, but as I said, I eventually made him. I was his captain at the end of it, which said a lot, because there was times there I wasn't even. I felt as no matter what I'd done, it was never going to be enough. He started me in one of the games away in Ajax, the Champions League qualifier. We won. I played in midfield and then played well, and praised me after the game. And the weekend, I wasn't even on the bench. The next game, I was like, "What do you do?" But I got there in the end, and I think Martin had a great knack of doing that. Keeping everybody on their toes and getting the best out of them. As I said, guys like Bobby and guys like myself had been there before for a number of years, and turning it around and bringing quality. As I said, that's the important bit. Bringing guys like Sutton and Harpsons in just to transform and take the team to a new level, and that's what he done.
Euan, any shouts for who could be the surprise player this season that we've all written off?
I mean, before I saw the UEFA squad list, I would have said Olivier Ntcham. I think he's still a very good technical player who could, he's I love a redemption story. I do. I think you could even count Tom Rogic as kind of a redemption story. He's a player that a lot of people forgot about. He was kind of, I don't know if he was in the reserves, but he certainly wasn't in the first team. Scores an absolute belt against Kilmarnock. Now he's been one of the players from the 9 in a row. So yeah, there's a few Bolingoli. Whatever your personal take on Bolingoli is, a lot of people would never see him in a Celtic shirt again. I just think it'd be good to to get past that sort of situation from last year and have him star. But yeah, no, there's definitely a few cases. There's a few sort of best supporting actor kind of candidates that's on there if they want to make a shout for themselves this year.
Yeah, there was so many flops last season that are still at the club that they could have a redemption story, so you may be in luck. Guys, thanks very much once again. We're going to have Jackie as part of the 67 Hail Hail team again this season. We're delighted to have him on board, so you'll be seeing a lot of Jackie this season, and hopefully some happier memories this time round. Jackie, you were a bit of a curse last season. You're not the reason for us blowing the 10, but hopefully we can win the league and have some happy Mondays, Jackie, rather than last season. Guys, thanks very much. Thanks for watching, everyone. Take care, and hail hail.